Good afternoon. We're continuing with the afternoon session of our Committee of Adjustment. Just briefly add, as we say at the beginning, that we're looking at different applications, sometimes consent to sever, sometimes minor variances, sometimes relating to legal non-conforming uses. We want to make the same land acknowledgement that we made this morning, and that is to say that we acknowledge the land we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Hautestonis, and the Wendat peoples, and it's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I think most people now are aware that proceedings before a committee can be done in person or virtually, and if you're doing it virtually, you can come in through a number of means using WebEx, an online digital platform, for example. And these meetings are also streamed on Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance, they'll be connecting with their electric device, and you'll be muted until you're allowed to enter on your item. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those who are participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist control during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you don't respect this instruction. All right, copies of today's decisions. People attending who want to receive a copy of the decision of committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. What happens if you don't agree with a copy or don't agree with the decision of committee this afternoon? If you don't agree with the decision, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Interior Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined under the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of committee. And appeal instructions are always set out at the bottom of committee's decision. Okay, a word about procedure. We'll be calling each item in order. When an application is uncontested, the applicant or agent, they might proceed with a presentation, but committee might decide that one is not needed. So if you wish to speak to committee, you should advise me as chair this afternoon. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I'll comment when you're reaching that 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Generally, staff and committee members can't accept materials at the hearing. When addressing committee, would you please clearly state your name and address, and of course confine your remarks to matters that are in the application. The applicant or agent is going to proceed first and make a presentation to committee. Please note that committee might not entertain revisions today. Committee may decide to defer an application if it's substantially revised, because we want to make sure that the application is accurate and that all those who are entitled to notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. We usually like to call on speakers who are here in the room first, and then those participating through WebEx. And committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentation, and you may have seen that if you're here for the morning session. When all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the applicants. And that'll end the discussion. The application will be taken into a committee, possibly for a discussion and then for a decision. Madam Secretary Treasurer, do we have any requests for deferrals in the afternoon agenda?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and panel members. We do. Item number 29, it's 33 Wallington Avenue. However, we won't be able to deal with this until after the 3 p.m. time slot.
I see. All right, I understand. All right, so we'll pick that up for that last segment later today. All right.
So then we can proceed with item number 18.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, so we're turning to item 18 on our agenda, and you'll notice that it's 18A, B, and C, because we have several things going on here. We have an application to sever. So there's a consent to sever application being made and associated 2 minor variance applications to adjust zoning standards for what's going to be produced. All right, I just wanted to let you know what we have by way of materials on this. Address is 321 to 323 St. Clair Avenue East. The consent requested is as follows. To obtain consent to sever the existing residential lot into 2 undersized residential lots and create a new easement / right-of-way. Also to maintain an existing easement right-of-way. And then there are the sub-applications B and C that relate to the minor variances being asked. Committee has the following material before it and communications in connection with these applications under 18. We have a copy of draft plan of survey. We have 2 copies of a plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 5 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have a covering letter from Stephen Lindy as agent. Reference is made to an earlier Committee of Adjustment decision in 2022 that affects the property. And finally, there are presentation materials from Stephen Lindy as agent for the owner. In terms of commenting agencies and reports from our own staff, etc., there's email correspondence from Development Engineering, from Assistant Planner and Community Planning, and also Transportation Engineering Coordinator. Again, this is Transportation Services that we have this from. Finally, we have a staff report, again, this time from the Manager of Development Engineering, so I'll have to look at those. And there is opposition. Correspondence and opposition has been submitted from a Douglas and Cindy Bain at 150 Glen Rose Avenue. And that was received October the 10th.
Through you, Mr. Chair. We do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
No registered speakers?
No.
No. Okay. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you all right. Perhaps just speak up a little bit louder, but it's good.
Absolutely. My name is Stephen Lindy of 48 Bedford Park Avenue in Toronto. I am the architect and agent. I'm the architect of the existing building currently undergoing. And thank you for showing the applicant's presentation. Page 1 of the applicant's presentation is the proposal to sever the existing property and to create 2 lots and will function as semi-detached dwellings on 2 separate lots. The owner is planning to keep the retained lot 321 St. Clair Avenue East as a primary residence. Page 1 shows the city zoning map and the property as it appears to be 2 lots with a line running through the middle, as you can see if you were to zoom in. The address on the building and on the city zoning map is already 321 and 323 St. Clair Avenue East. The built form is existing. The proposed variances are all due to severing the lot. We have letters from traffic planning stating that they have no concerns. Originally, the proposal to committee was to include a proposed garden suite. This was causing too many variances and concerns from planning. That is when we asked committee for a deferral. The revised proposal as before the committee has been found to be satisfactory to planning. There is no staff letter, as far as I'm aware, stating that they are okay with everything, but I've worked with planning in detail, going through everything and we've listened to every single one of their concerns, and we have incorporated all of their recommendations. Planning staff Lori Sudron has confirmed to me verbally that they have no concerns. All planning staff concerns that were originally raised have been addressed. The property as it is already has 2 separate water service connections, 2 sewer connections. All utilities are all already separated by 2 separate utility bills for gas, hydro, and water. There are 2 city garbage and wastewater bills, 1 for each address. When the owner purchased the property, there were 2 City of Toronto tax bills, 1 for each property or PIN, but the property is 1 property according to the deed. When we asked for zoning reviews, the examiners believed it was 2 properties. We believe that this was already 2 properties at some point. When my client purchased it, it was 1 property, likely because it was owned by 1 owner for a number of years. Page 2, if we were to go back, is the proposed severed lot site plan, and page 3 is the proposed retained lot site plan. Again, all of the built form is already existing and unchanged.
I'm just going to jump in there
Page
for a
4
moment.
is the
Hi.
Yes.
So the retained land has a dwelling. It's a semi-detached dwelling on the remnant land. Is that right?
They're both semis. They're currently semis that are on 1 property. So it's right now there's 2 dwellings on the property, and the proposal will be for 1 dwelling on each property.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Please continue.
Page 4 is the draft R plan. There is a proposed vehicular right-of-way easement, which would be in favor of the severed conveyed lot over the retained lot, and described in the application. The proposed retained lot is part 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the proposed conveyed lot is part 2, highlighted in blue. Parts 3 and 4 are the proposed easements in favor of the severed lot. The easement is for vehicular and pedestrians right-of-way.
Okay.
There are many parts in this application because there is an old right-of-way that the surveys show based on historical geometry of an old instrument, and it's a right-of-way. It was a right-of-way. This further reinforces the contention that this already was 2 lots in the past. Page 5, 6, and 7, and 8 are photos of houses in the neighborhood. These are to illustrate that there is already a diverse mix of single-family homes, semis, and duplexes. Page 9 is a more recent photo of the subject property. Some of the construction on the exterior is still underway. Both units or properties are undergoing extensive renovations. That's the next page, I believe. Yeah, that one. There is 1 entry door on the left and 1 entry door on the right, unchanged. Page 10 is a research of lot widths in the area. There are numerous examples of properties with lots that are narrower than the proposed. There is a diverse number of properties in the area having widths that are less than the proposed 8.67 and 6.61 meters. We believe that, in summary, the requested items are minor, the character and built form of the neighborhood is unchanged, making it appropriate use of the land. We believe that this passes the 4 tests of the committee. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks for referring to sort of a small lot study showing that frontages are less than what are being proposed here in zoning. All right. Members, do you have any questions to the agent here on this? No thing? All right. Just checking myself. Yes, please, go ahead.
Just to confirm, so the soft landscaping at the rear, those are sort of new, but you have a note here that essentially it's the same as the previous approval as it was when it was all 1 lot. Is that correct?
Yes. This was an item that we were talking about with the planning staff that the landscaping is the same as the previous decision at committee of 20%. So the planning staff was in agreement that we would basically share the 20% amongst the two different properties because there's more room available for that severed lot than for the retained lot.
Right, okay, thank you.
But it adds up to the 20% that was originally given when we went to committee.
Got it, thank you.
And I'll just add, I see that Transportation Services says no objections to the consent. And let's see, amongst other things, says they have no objection to the proposed vehicle easement right-of-way that you're creating on parts 3 and 4. So that's helpful to know.
There's
yeah.
there's a
Questions?
development engineering condition, you're aware of that, and that's okay?
I did not receive this memo. I went through all of the submissions. I did not see it. I'm not sure what the condition is exactly.
Can we blow that up a little bit just so it can be seen? Yeah, bring it more easily read.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this report was received by the Committee of Adjustment on August the 22nd of this year,
Oh, wow, fantastic.
and the conditions are laid out on page 2.
Okay.
I think it's just the
It's
standard.
standard
Yes.
municipal numbering and the certificate from the professional engineer.
Our plan and that sort of, the standard, obviously, we call them
Absolutely.
standard conditions of consent.
That's
So we have
Completely
our standard
acceptable.
consent conditions, and then ECS, Engineering Construction Services, is imposing these extra 2.
All right.
Mr. Chair, this is completely acceptable.
All right, good to hear.
Well, then I'll make, are we in committee?
We're going to committee, okay. Yep, sure. Sorry, Nellie?
Okay, well, I'll
Yeah,
So we've seen these types of things before, even though the lot sizes are not standard
right?
ideal widths. The fact that there's no objection from city planning, there's no objection from transportation, and the applicant seems well aware of the requirements to fully sever the properties from standards required by municipal engineering and whatnot. I do find that it's a, and it's like other properties. I think I propose that we approve this application. I don't believe there's any conditions on.
Just the engineering.
Just the engineering one as per the ECS staff report.
And those conditions would be imposed on the consent?
Consent,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, all those in favor, second, consent? That's from Peter Reed, sorry, all right. All in favor then, with that one condition? The severance is granted, although, Madam Secretary, we're often, you know, we're also considering the variances as well, I mean, as a whole application, okay? I guess we need something separate then on the variances, if you're,
Through you, Mr. Chair, the motion includes the consent and minor variance applications.
covers it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, sir, it's approved. Good luck with that application and construction. All right, we can move on to 19A and B. So we've got a consent request to sever and a minor variance application here as well for 95 St. Joseph Avenue. Okay. Okay. Just get to that in a moment. And I'll be right with you. I'm just going to indicate what the application is all about, so everyone can hear that, the purpose, et cetera. So for For 95 St. Joseph Street, consent is requested. It's to obtain consent to a strata severance and to create various easements, rights of ways within a 40-story mixed-use redevelopment. Purpose of the application with respect to the variances generally are as follows. It's to alter the development standards as approved under Site-Specific Zoning Bylaw 1030 for 2022 for a new 40-story mixed-use building by increasing the building height and to reduce the minimum number of vehicle parking spaces, the setback of the mechanical penthouse, and residential amenity space that's both indoor and outdoor. Here's what committee has in terms of communications and materials on file. We have a revised draft R plan received September 30th, 2024. 2 copies of a plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 7 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have covering letters from Naheem Lakhani and Michael Goldberg as agents. We have a functional servicing report prepared by a private consultant. We have a parking rationale prepared by Ryan Sanker from BA Group. We have presentation materials from, Naheem Lakhani as agent. There's a shadow study. Reference is also made to the site-specific 103022 bylaw. And finally, we have a cover letter from Allison Platt from the Daniels Corporation. Now, what the city has in terms of commenting reports or emails, we have email correspondence from Transportation Engineering Coordinator. And we have staff reports from Development Engineering and also from Heritage Planning. There's correspondence and opposition from Stephen Belcourt, whose address is in 1802-62 Wellesley Street West. That was received September 30th, 2024. So can the applicant or agent introduce themselves and just give us your street address for the record?
Members of the committee and Mr. Chair, my name is Michael Goldberg. I'm the principal at Goldberg Group. My office address is 2098 Avenue Road, Toronto, M5M 4A8. I have with me, just so the committee is aware, I have Miss Allison Keller, who is a representative from Amica, and Miss Allison Platt, who is a representative from Daniels, the 2 owners of the property.
Right.
They don't intend to speak unless there's some question that I'm unable to answer directed my way.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Do you also have the surveyor online?
I
Your
don't
surveyor?
believe the surveyor is online.
We may have registered him as a speaker. His
Yes,
name's
okay.
Mansour. He's
Yes,
available.
So he's online if
Okay.
we need to unmute him.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
And are there any other further deputants or speakers on this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, see none.
Okay, all right. Well, perhaps this, just in a capsule way, could you tell us about your application to sever? And this is a little different one. We're not like creating a new lot per se, but a strata conveyance. We're cutting some air or ground. Go ahead.
Members of committee, this is an application. This is the continuation of the processing of this application. If you've read some of the background material, there was a 2022 approval of this application by City Council of this building. It's intended for basically 2 purposes: a residential apartment building above the base building, and the base building is devoted to an Amica retirement residence. So you would see, if you've seen the bylaw, 50% of the gross floor area is required for institutional uses because it's within the U of T area, and 50% is required for the other uses that are contained within the building. You've heard the submissions that have been made. We have also been in constant dialogue with community planning with Mr. Johnson, Paul Johnson, who did not submit a letter to you because he is satisfied with the minor variance and consent application. It's gone through Heritage. We've seen the condition of Heritage. We're fine with that. And in terms of engineering and construction services, they too are fine with both the consent and minor variance subject to 2 conditions. And I can tell you that, and we provided correspondence to this effect, the second variance relating to the requirement for the engineering letter relating to short-term discharge rates has already been satisfied. So that condition, ECS has confirmed that that condition is no longer required. So this application, where we've made a further site plan resubmission in April of 2024, the detailed fine-grained planning of this building, which included mechanical, the layout of the retirement residence, the bringing up to standard of the parking standards to only have 1 level of parking for the 2 functional uses within the building, has been advancing in tandem with the departments, in tandem with the various departments who are now satisfied with all those details and now getting down to the nitty-gritty of the last comments on the site plan application. So we do need these minor variances, which I think numerically and in substance are really quite minor. If you would like me to go through the minor variances, I can quickly go through that. Basically, from a parking point of view, this now aligns with, there was the citywide bylaw, which was 8/9/2022, adjusting parking standards for residential buildings, was basically being processed at the same time as this site-specific application. So the site-specific application, it included parking standards higher. So this completely aligns with the general city bylaw for both visitor and for resident parking. The setbacks that are being adjusted, one relates to basically enclosing a mechanical penthouse at the top of the base building, whereas some mechanical elements were not part of the building but were there nonetheless. They're just enclosing it, and that's why the 10 versus the 15-meter setback is required in that case. And the overall height in total for this now 40-story building is 2.2 meters. We've analyzed this from a massing, from a shadow impact perspective. We provided the shadows, and I noted that Mr. Belcourt from the adjacent condominium to the south raised shadows, but there are no incremental shadows arising from this change on either Queen's Park or on Clover Park. So, which is just to the northeast. From an amenity point of view, it's a rather complex site insofar as we have requirements for amenity for the residential, but we also have additional on-site outdoor amenities that aren't counted for the outdoor amenity. That includes a western mid-block connection between Basil Lane to the south and St. Joseph's to the north. It's a wide swath along the west side. It's open space. It's available to everyone, but it's not counted as open space. There's also a common amenity area of 400 square meters that is not counted, which also brings it up. And that would, if you factored in, if you don't even factor in the western area, but you factored in the 400 square meters for the common area, that brings it up to 3.78 total. So it really is in line with the type of approvals that are getting attached to whether zoning bylaws or reductions in minor variances within the downtown area. And clearly the location of this site is very rich with open space. On the severance, very quickly, I'm prepared to answer any questions you may have. It's to allow for the dual ownership of the entire building between the Amica owners in the base building and the Daniels owners of the apartment building, and the reciprocal easements that will take place because it's one building. There's a one entrance to parking garages and so on and so forth.
Thank you. They're very helpful. One note that I had made related to heritage and the heritage section here in the city was asking, they'd like to see the drawings before building
Yes.
permit. And I guess you're very close to U of T here, so perhaps that's why.
It's not an issue. Well, there is
Not an issue?
there is a large heritage preservation component to this building as well.
Okay.
And we've been, for many years now, working very closely with Heritage Preservation Services. We're fine with that.
Right, thank you. Members, yes, please.
Can you explain a bit more what this 400 square meter common area that's not included as amenities is?
It's a bylaw requirement that's just independent, so it's available to both all users of the building. It's not focused only on the residential side, so it's an additional common outdoor amenity space that's calculated into our requirement, but it's available for the whole building.
I see, but what is it?
Like the front yard.
It's basically the front landscaped yard of the property.
Landscape yard. So you're feeling like that should be, like, not literally, but conceived as a space that will also be part of the.
Yes. Oh, it absolutely can be amenity space. It will be landscaped. There may be some street furniture within that landscaped area and so on as part of the site plan process.
You say maybe, or are you planning to provide seating? Because otherwise it's not really an amenity.
There is. There's seating and walkways in that area, and we've designed them so that it can accommodate the older residents that will be within the Amica residential home. The anticipated use of the area is not only along the front, but along that north-south connector that Michael referred to. So we're anticipating that those outdoor areas to be fully utilized by not only the residents of the apartment building, but
That kind of makes up for the lack of outdoor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. And for the amenity space, I mean, is it partially a factor of the fact that you have more units now? You haven't actually reduced the amount of amenity space from the original plans. It's just that there's more units.
We've actually reduced the rate, but we've increased the amount.
Right.
And the rate is reduced because of the number of units.
Right. So you've actually increased the amount of indoor amenity spaces?
Yes, we have. There was 632, and now there's 1,270.
Okay, thank you. That's actually very helpful in understanding what's happening there. So the person who wrote a letter was concerned about the chapel. I'm wondering if you could talk about that. He said that the chapel was originally supposed to be something that would be accessible to the public as a commercial space.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be part of the amenity.
The chapel was, it's in the same location as it was, and it is now being used as part of the amenity area for the apartment building. It was going to be a non-residential space, but as is commonly the case, as you get towards the fine-grained planning of these buildings, things get moved around and functions get adjusted. I will say there are no bylaw implications, though, of this change from that standpoint, and that's not really part of the committee's consideration at this point.
Right. Well, it is an amenity space, so
It's amenity
falls
space,
under that.
as opposed to non-residential space.
Yeah.
But we're still providing the required amount of non-residential in another part of the building.
Okay. And it wasn't like the person who wrote the letter claimed that the idea was that this heritage chapel would be something that the public would be able to see, but I'm assuming that wasn't actually written into any agreement or anything like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your
So-
sentence.
I'm assuming that wasn't written into any agreement or anything?
No.
Okay.
No, the overall, there was an original, let's just say, intention, but I don't think it was an important enough element one way or the other from a public interest point of view, what the ultimate use of that space was. The important thing was that the space was preserved as part of the conservation and preservation of the heritage resource. But the use of that space was really left at the election of the owners.
Thank you very much.
Members, any further questions for the agent? No, same? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Sorry. Yes, Nellie, go ahead.
I have a questions about the variance number 1, about the number of residential parking spaces. And just to clarify, there won't be any residential parking spaces included?
There will be no residential parking spaces for the residents, and there'll be 6 visitor parking spaces. And that aligns with bylaw 89-2022. And the thinking around this, just to provide a bit more of an explanation, is that this site, I'll just say it this way, is intrinsically a very walkable location to whether it's employment uses, recreation uses, amenity areas downtown. It's part of the university, and it's extremely close to the hospital district, and it's very close to downtown Toronto. So there's every expectation that the residents will not own cars. They will certainly tenant the building, eyes wide open that there aren't parking spaces available to them. This is the whole intent of the official plan, particularly in the downtown, to reduce automobile dependency.
Right. It's just a big jump from reducing to none. That's what.
I'm sorry?
There is a big jump from reducing to none.
I can tell you, I personally do a lot of very large buildings downtown, and there's a lot of very large buildings bigger than this that have 0 parking, that are now being approved by City Council. Not under appeal, not contested. It's become, since 2022, a more accepted norm, particularly in these downtown locations.
But just to clarify, you haven't reduced the parking for the retirement residence section.
No, that's remained the same.
That remains the same.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything further, members? All right, let's, there's no further deputant, so all right, let's take it into, yes, discussion.
Yeah, so I was concerned about the reduction in amenity space, but I feel like that's been well explained. That was a helpful explanation. I'm also a little concerned about the chapel, like, having a heritage space that's only accessible to a small number of people is limited, but it's obviously not, I think, significant enough. So I think this is supportable.
All right, yeah. Right, the other thing I had noted was about heritage, wanting to see drawings before building permits. I would want to work that into a condition. But remember, either of Mr. Reeds want to put forward a motion, that'd be great.
You asked the question.
So for the reasons I explained, I move that we approve these variances with the heritage condition and with the first engineering condition, having seen that the second one has already been addressed.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's the consent with the variance.
Yeah, with the consent. Yeah, sorry, approve the consent and the variances.
And the conditions would be standard consent conditions, the conditions imposed by ECS, and then
Just the first condition imposed by ECS and then the condition imposed by Heritage.
Seconder for that? Agreed. All right. All in favor? You've got an approval today, sir. Okay. Okay. That's perfect. All right. All right, folks, we'll move on to Gerrard Street. All right, just as people congregate there, we'll move along to item 20 in a moment. All right, item 20 on our agenda is 666 Gerrard Street East. Here's the purpose of this application. It's to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 3-story addition, a front basement walkout, a side east 3rd-story balcony, and a rear 2nd and 3rd-story terraces. This building will contain a total of 5 residential dwelling units. Committee has before it the following: a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 3 photographs of the subject property. Commenting agencies and email, we've got email correspondence from Transportation Engineering, and we have a letter of interest or concern, correspondence from Jana Flaming at 61 Simpson Avenue that was received in August. All right, those are the matters that we have in hand. Let me just...
For you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent here in person. No
Excellent.
registered speakers for this
No
item.
registered speakers, all right, I'll just get to that. Hi, I just ask you to hang on one sec. I'll just call it up electronically. Yes, okay, we have 5 variances sought. So, all right, good afternoon. You give me your name and address, please. Just gonna.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Committee of Judgment and everybody here. My name is Hong Lin Chui, the architect for this project from Broadview Architects. My address is 4284 Village Center Court, Mississauga.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you to speak up a little louder, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me close it. So we have deferred this minor variance application, which originally is August 28th, because we got some concern from city planner that some items like the rear yard angular plane, and so we asked for defer and we revised the drawings, and what we have now is the revised drawing set, mainly the rear yard setback and the terrace kind of design to comply with the 45 angular plane from the rear yard, which minimize the impact of this project to the neighborhood. So just as the chairman said, that this project is, originally it's a 2-story residential building with 1 unit, and now we, we renovate the existing building, and then add the new addition in the rear yard, which we kind of create 5 units now, 5 apartment units. The square footage is pretty normal, which is like around 600 to 700 square feet is 2-bedroom suites, and except the prime one in the existing building, which is a bit larger, over 1,000 square feet. We asked for 5 zoning relief here. The one is the parking space, because the existing building doesn't have any parking space in this location, so we cannot add any more there.
I was just going to jump in there because then you're going to have 5 residential dwelling units, and the
Right.
zoning requirement is to have 3 visitor parking spaces,
Right.
and you're not providing any.
No, because the existing doesn't have any parking space on this property.
There's no physical space.
No physical space.
Okay.
We don't remove the existing building. The existing building is, is built the way the built, you're not available to provide any parking space. It's fronted the street line.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Just please.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the setback from the rear yard, which is zoning bylaw requires 7.5 meters. We provide the 2.15 meters just to efficiently use the land available. This is one reason. The other one is that, we found this street is very different from other streets. If we take this property at the center and we count 5 properties, from this property to the neighbors, then I found that there are 4 property already. They took the rear yard, and the setback from rear yard property line is around 2 meters. So we follow that kind of existing situation and to add the addition in the rear yard. So I think I understand this kind of a new or existing city fabric, or to be kind of forming the city fabric in this area. So we just follow that kind of trend. The third one is the mean wall setback with openings. The zoning required 5.5 meters. But this, again, we cannot comply with that because it's too wide for this property. It won't work if we set back that much. So our setback is 1.21 meter from the side lot, from the side lot line, and we will comply with the building code for this setback with openings on the wall. And the number 4 is the first story high for this property, which is required 4.5 meter high, because this is like commercial and a residential mixed-use zone. The first floor height required 4.5 meter. But again, the existing building is only less than 4 meters, 3.13 meter. So we didn't remove the existing building, so that's the existing situation.
Okay. I'll just ask you to sum up. You want to just speak to the fifth variance and the floor space index?
Sorry?
Sorry, just our time was running out.
Okay.
Did you want to, why don't you just give us a few remarks on your minor variance number 5?
The number 5 is the floor space index.
Yeah.
We slightly increased the required 2.0 floor space index. Now is 2.13. Just a little bit, more than required.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Members of committee, any questions for the agent here? Yes, all right, Mr. Reed, yeah.
Since the rear is going to be quite close to the lots behind you, would you be okay with a requirement for privacy screens on the rear terraces?
Sorry?
Would you be okay with a condition that you put privacy screens on the east and west side of the rear terraces?
Yeah, we have some kind of railing around the edge of the terrace.
And if we were to...
If you look at the drawing, the section drawing or the side elevation drawing, we show that.
Yeah, you have like a low railing, but we might...
Yeah, low railing, so we need a higher railing for that?
We might ask for a privacy screen of 1.5 meters.
Screen privacy screen， 就是我们后院那个台地不是推灯了吗？Sorry，
I don't think they were...
That's try to explain to my client。
I don't think they want...
这块儿他想那个加高，他说你做个 privacy screen， 然后有一个 privacy 私密性更强一些，不对邻居的影响。We will think about that.
Okay. We might ask for that as a condition.
Okay. So, to be clear, that screen will be higher than the normal railing height, right?
Yeah. The idea is that
maybe 6 feet or 5 feet.
Yeah, I think it's 1.5 meters. So
1.5 meter. Okay.
Members, any other issues or questions? No. Okay, all right, let's take it into ourselves. And someone, yes, want to make a motion then? Sure. Good.
Yeah, I mean, normally, obviously, the very limited backyard setback might be an issue, but in this case, First of all, as they pointed out, there's several properties that have a similar, very limited. And secondly, it's a main street. I think as a main street building, it makes a lot of sense to be doing as much intensity as possible. And overall, I think this is quite an ingenious plan for introducing additional rental properties on a street that's well served by transit and that's very walkable. So I think this is actually a very good proposal. I would propose to approve the variances with the condition that privacy screens be implemented on the second and third floor rear terraces on the east and west sides.
Yes, is there a seconder for that?
I'd second, but I'd also just like to make a little note. I was here last time that this application came before the panel, and I wanted to commend the applicant because there's been a marked improvement from there.
Yes, I saw.
Acknowledging the 45-degree plane is really good, and I think that it's a much better project now. So I would second Dylan's motion.
All right, then, all in favor of that? Yes, Ms. Ant, all right, all right, all opposed? One dissent, okay. All right, you've got your approval, sir, and good luck with those units.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, just move slowly to item 21. Give us the best second here. Proceeding to item 21, which is 60 Mayfield Avenue. Just need a moment to read out the purpose there. Okay. 60 Mayfield Avenue. Here's the purpose of the application. It is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story balcony. The existing two-story rear addition, currently under construction, will be maintained. Committee has before it the following: copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 4 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have opposition in correspondence and opposition from a number of persons, one on Mayfield, 39 Mayfield Avenue, 205 Willard Avenue, 51 Mayfield Avenue, and 62 Mayfield Avenue. Those persons are in opposition? Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent, Jim Wallace, on the line, and we have 3 registered speakers here in person,
I see, okay.
and they'll be speaking in opposition.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we'll unmute Jim Wallace
Yes,
at
we'll
this
hear
time.
from the agent first, and then fine, yep, we'll proceed to those. Oh, well. Hi there, is this Jim?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, although speaking up always helps. So if you just give us
Absolutely.
your name and your street address for the record, and we can go from there.
Absolutely. I'll pull my computer screen a little bit closer to my face. My name is Jim Wallace. I work for Arkhouse Architects. Our address is 1358 Huron-Ontario Street, Mississauga, Ontario. Before you today is an application to permit an enlargement of an as-of-right second-story balcony as part of ongoing construction associated with the permits granted for this addition at 60 Mayfield. Our proposal today would permit the owners to enjoy a slightly larger balcony space over the permitted 4 square meters. The dimensions of it are approximately 3.05 meters by 1.9 meters, which is essentially 10 feet by 6.5. As of right, we are permitted approximately 10 feet by 4.5 feet. So the extra 2 feet of projection is what we are seeking as a part of this application, so that the owners can enjoy a little bit more amenity space off of the second floor where their new primary suite is being constructed. We have spent quite a considerable time with the owners going back and forth on the appropriate configuration of this platform. We've also introduced privacy screens on both sides, which extend greater than 1.5 meters vertically and extend approximately 1.2 meters away from the building wall. So a lot of consideration for the existing zoning bylaws, as well as acknowledgement of the neighboring properties was considered. We were surprised to see the level of opposition to something like this. However, the community has their opportunity, but we feel that based on this application, its sensitivity, it does satisfy the 4 tests. It does respect the official plan, the zoning bylaw. It is very minor in nature, and we feel it's desirable because something like this does not typically destabilize a neighborhood. This is for private use only, and we feel that it would be appropriate. I have nothing further on this, but I would be happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
So the sole variance you're seeking relates to the platform and the platform size, and you're saying you'd be okay with a condition that would call for privacy screening on that balcony.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not sure why we have opposition, but I see the existing 2-story rear addition currently under construction will be maintained. So with respect to the rear addition that's being built, there's no bylaw standard that you need varied for that. Is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, we applied for a building permit for the addition.
Yeah.
The permit and zoning clearance was received where all provisions of the bylaw were met.
Okay.
So no minor variances were required for the addition proper. And there are no associated minor variances for the addition at this point. It's only to allow slightly more balcony space above the permitted 4 square meters.
Thank you. I understand that. Members, any questions? I think that's all pretty clear. Yes, all right. Okay, thank you, sir. We'll have you stand by. There are some other speakers on this application.
Understood.
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll call up Nicholas Singh first.
Good afternoon to the committee.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Singh. Okay.
So Nicholas Singh, I'm here representing both the Swansea area ratepayers and my family, as I live at 209 Willard Avenue. I'll only be taking the 5 minutes of your time for both presentations. So I live at 209 Willard Avenue, 1 backyard away from the proposed balcony. I've lived there since 1984. And I've seen the neighborhood gradually change from one where home renovations were pretty rare to one now where they take place quite often, and every sale of a home generates an application to the committee for more. Always more height, more length, more depth, closer to property lines, less and less green space, more deck space, and closer together. The neighbor on the north side of my house did not put up windows in the wall, but that's quite close to my property. However, the neighbor on the south side did put up windows. It means that it looks into my bedroom. And yes, it means keeping the blinds closed when we're using the room. It means having to rearrange our garden. It means that on the winter solstice, we have no direct sunlight in the morning. It means that I live in an amphitheater with walls on both sides, and when we use our deck, our voices are projected far and wide. So I know well what even an as-of-right extension means to the neighbors, Jean and Kevin. It will mean a lot of difficulty for them. So when you ask me how will the extra space on this balcony affect me, I can tell you that the bigger it is, the worse it is. Not only because it will have privacy walls that will add to the massing, but also because of the precedent this application would insert into this neighborhood context. Privacy screens work for those who want to stay behind them, but they do nothing for those of us who can be viewed at any time with an easy look around or over the screens. These backyards are close together. They're closely connected, as you can see. And the bylaws were written to limit disturbance to one another. And yes, we do need the bylaws because as humans, we're terrible at self-control. As per the Swansea Area Ratepayers submission, if we could have on screen from the Swansea submission, please, page 4 and the map. There we go. The properties that face, this is the immediate and broader context for this application. The properties that face the same street as the proposed development in the same block and the block opposite proposed development, they number 9 buildings. And the broader context, which includes the backyards, is 24 buildings. Could I go to the next page where we have the discussion of the context? There we go. In neither context is an oversized balcony present, so there are no properties supporting the application. 100% of the properties are not supporting it. So there's nothing ambiguous here. The neighborhood context is not in transition and regarding this variance, and neither is the context found to be eclectic or anything like that. It simply does not support the variance. In conclusion, the proposal is not materially consistent with the prevailing physical character of the properties in either the broader or the immediate contexts. As such, it does not pass the test for maintaining the intent and purpose of the official plan. Further, given the non-existence of oversized balconies, an approval would set a destabilizing precedent and is not desirable, as witnessed by the letters of objection filed by the neighbors or in keeping with the official plan. At this point, I point out that it would be contrary to the rules should the applicant be allowed to enter new evidence in rebuttal, because those opposed would not have an opportunity to correct or address the new evidence, and that would be a denial of natural justice. When the applicant comes back, perhaps it would be appreciated if the committee would ask what evidence is there that they have that this variance actually does satisfy the 4 tests, especially the test for keeping the intent and purpose of the official plan. Thank you.
I wanted to ask sort of quickly, sort of in the general area that you surveyed, I take it that you've seen a number of balconies that are 4 square meters in size.
No, actually.
You're saying there aren't any?
There aren't. There is one Juliet balcony, which is virtually 0. It's just a balcony across the front of the building. There is one other across the street, but I think that's a deck that's built into the corner of the rear yard.
Okay, yeah.
There's a letter actually submitted on that particular topic, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, further speaker? Mm-hmm.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there's no further questions for the speaker? See none? Okay. We'll call up the owners at 62 Mayfield Avenue.
I think it's on. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jean Estabrook. I live at the property immediately to the west of the subject property at 62 Mayfield Avenue. My husband joined in our opposition to this application for a minor variance. He's here, but I'll be speaking for both of us.
Yeah.
First, I'd like to concur with the submissions made by my friend and also with the submissions he received from other neighbors objecting to the variance. You have our notice of objection, which was filed some time ago. The objections are largely personal to us because this would have a very large effect on how we use our backyard. The properties are very close together. Initially, there was no fence between them, so they were one big yard. And having an oversized balcony projecting 6.04 meters onto the back of an already enlarged house would oversee our entire garden. We wouldn't have any private space left. We're also concerned about the effect on our trees. We concede that the tree in question is not a protected tree, but it was there long before we moved there, and it was there long before the applicants bought the home. Finally, I'd stress that there are no even permitted size balconies in the immediate area. As indicated in our application, and we've given you a photograph, the only balcony that overhangs any property in the immediate vicinity is the Juliet balcony in the property to the west of us and behind us. There's no 4 square meter balcony at all, much less an oversized balcony. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Questions?
Yeah, so, I mean, the impacts, I understand the impacts on your backyard, but can you state how they would be different if, like, they can build a 4 square meter balcony under any circumstances without even coming to us? Can you
understand.
explain why you feel like that extra 2 square meters is going to make a difference?
It's a question of extent, and it's a question of precedent. As soon as you allow something that's bigger than allowed by the stated rules, other people come forward and ask for the same thing. The property the property in question is very built up now as it is. They have a very large extension on the back that's close to completion. They have a large shed. With this balcony overhanging, and I assume there's going to be a deck underneath, the green area of the property is going to be further reduced. We understand we have no reason, no grounds to object to what's permitted by the bylaws. But I think it's a question of extent, and I think it's a question of precedent. We just would like to be able to use our balcony with some semblance of privacy. And while the difference between 4 square meters and 6 square meters doesn't seem like much, it does make a difference in terms of the degree of overhang on our property.
If there were privacy screenings, would that
That seems to be more
sorry?
their property. We couldn't look up at them, the privacy screens would, and not that we have any desire to, but the privacy screens would protect their privacy while they're using the deck. But I don't think it would change the fact that they're overlooking our property.
Thanks very much. Members, any other questions for the speaker? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're back to the applicant. Yeah, okay. Hi, Jim, is it back to you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that all for the deputants on this particular matter?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I would just like to speak to the one comment from the resident of 207 Willard. It seemed like the notion of privacy screens on the side of the balcony would increase the detrimental factor of this proposal as opposed to providing mutual privacy for all parties. My clients and the owners of the building are not interested in overlooking neighboring properties, nor are they feel threatened by their neighbors from a privacy perspective. The purpose of the privacy screens is to acknowledge there's a daycare associated with the church, and that in acknowledgement of the Estabrooks next door, that a privacy screen would be an appropriate means to mitigate when the owners are sitting out on their balcony. Mr. Rafi happens to be a tall man. One of the things he asked for was if he could put a lounger out on his back deck off of his master suite. I said, Mr. Rafi, that's a great idea. That will not have you standing and overlooking. And additionally, in regards to the tree during the growing season will provide a wonderful screen from Ms. Esterbrook's property. This tree is not going to be affected by the balcony. There was no forestry concerns on the matter. Had forestry had some conditions, we could have reviewed those and complied with them. So I'm just not certain that this proposal is as controversial as it seems to be stated. And we believe that, yes, it does indeed meet the 4 tests. And we hope the committee feels the same way. Again, I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee would have on this.
Yes, a question.
Thank you for that. Does the existing, if we just, as of right, do you have privacy screens currently? Or do you
We
just
would
have
have
just a low, a code compliant rail?
We would have put up privacy screens anyway, because I know that as a courtesy and deference to the neighbors, that's always a good approach. So that would have been installed anyway.
All right, nothing further. All right. All right, let's take this into committee for discussion. It's not a large increase, but we've heard from concerned neighbors about impact. At least that's how they see it. Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. I can start. I understand the concerns of the neighbors, but what's being proposed is 2 meters more than what's permitted. And this is not an extremely large space. It's roughly 3 meters by 2 meters. And I honestly, I think a 4-meter balcony, what's permitted by law, is not a very usable space. And I think increasing it slightly makes it slightly more usable. And with the screens, I think it's defensible. The other thing I think to remember is that this is coming off of a second floor, a bedroom, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that this is not going to be a high activity space. So I think it's completely supportable.
Yes.
I think for me, I don't see that the impact is going to be significantly different from an as-of-right balcony. So to me, that's it's supportable for that reason. We could just do it according to plans.
I'll bring forward a motion, Chair. I move approval of the application, and I think the privacy screens that have been shown in the plans are good in that they don't extend out the entire way. I think that that's a good compromise to leave more sky view to the neighbors. So I would tie it to the 2 side elevations, the east and west.
Seconder for that, Mr. Reid. Mr. Reid, all right. All in favor? All right, variances have been approved. The single variance relating to the balcony has been used. All right, we'll be going to number 22 in a moment, 240 Riverside Drive. Just want to call that up. Okay. Yes, again, then, with respect to item 22, 240 Riverside Drive, here's the purpose: to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor deck to extend the existing patio. Committee has before it the following: copy plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 6 photographs of the subject property. In terms of comments or email, we have staff reports from Ravine and Natural Feature Protection, also from Development Engineering and TRCA. There's a staff report from the supervisor of Ravine and Natural Feature Protection. Interest or concern, there's correspondence in interest from Nicholas Singh, who we just recently heard of, on behalf of the Swansea area received October 10, 2024. Okay. We have the agent or applicant then online for 240 Riverside Drive.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the applicant here in front of us.
Oh, very good, sorry.
And we also have Nicholas Singh still here. Will you be speaking on this one or no? Just, Okay. Okay, so let's hear from the applicant first then.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and fellow committee members. My name is Roshan Thuru. I'm a planner at Design Plan Services, located at 87 Skyway Avenue, Suite 200, and I'm here on behalf of the property owners.
Thank you.
So the proposal is to construct an extension of the existing deck in the rear yard. I would note that we have discussed this proposal with planning and TRCA staff, and they have no concerns or objections. I also reviewed the staff report by RNFP, which recommends no conditions. And the variance which pertains to this application is the setback to the stable top bank.
Right.
In this case, the altered deck is set back 1.33 meters from the stable top of bank. As noted previously, through discussions with TRCA, it was identified that the TRCA staff have no concerns or objections with the proposal and have provided support in principle, as indicated in their staff report. And I would note that the setback is an existing condition which will be maintained through this proposal, and the setback of 1.33 meters is only for a pinch point, and then it increases to 2.66 meters on the west side. And based on the justification provided, I am of the opinion that the proposal meets the Ford test under Section 485(1) of the Planning Act, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
So it's a replacement deck largely, or does it go a little closer to the top of bank? Maybe I just missed that.
It's an extension of the existing deck. So the 1.33 meters setback will be maintained.
Well, I think that, the important bodies on this would be TRCA and the natural ravine and natural protection sections, and they're okay.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Members? Yes, please.
Thanks, Chair. Would you be okay tying this to substantially in accordance with the site plan? Just because the 1.33 is a pinch point, I would feel comfortable having that marked in the approval.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that would be acceptable.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? No. All right, then we'll hear from other speakers then. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no speakers on this one.
So, Mr. Lee, all right. Fine, we can take this into ourselves then. Members, any comment? A single matter. We do know that the various authorities don't like to get too close to the top of a stable bank, but those authorities here seem to be in accordance, are okay with this application. So what would you like to do?
Chair, I'd like to bring a motion for approval. Because TRCA is okay with this application, I defer to their judgment, but I would like to tie it to the site plan, just to confirm that 1.33 is not across the entire property, but reflects the existing proposal.
All right, seconder for that, Mr.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that even Nicholas Singh doesn't oppose this, so it's got to be okay. So I'm happy to second this.
Oh, I second it. All right, all in favor with that variance, subject to that site plan, sir, is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this could bring us, 2391 Wilcox Street. 3 o'clock thing. Okay. Just give me a moment, please. Let's go back. All right. All right, members and staff, we're moving to item 23, the last one in this part of the afternoon segment. 91 Wilcox Street, here's the purpose. It's to alter the existing 2.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front covered porch, a front 3-story addition, a rear ground floor deck, rear second and third story terraces, and a rear third-story addition. There'll be a total of 2 residential units. It's a duplex on this lot. Committee has again survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of trees. We have presentation materials from John Ramirez as agent. Interest or concern, we have correspondence and concern from Peter Halewood at 118 Robert Street, which was received October the 11th, 24.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item. At
Okay.
this time, we'll unmute John Ramirez.
Hi, Mr. Ramirez.
Through the chair, we're still trying to unmute John.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hold on. Okay, let's. Yeah, just for waiting, I'll say members, so we have two minor variances before us, the one
Mr.
relating.
Chair, we're going to call John.
Okay.
So we can get him connected.
Sure.
Through you, Mr. Chair. How about we move on to item number 24 and then come back to item 23, because we're still trying to get a hold of the applicant.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we could do the deferral before we take a break if you need. Do you need a quick 5-10-minute break? Okay, maybe let's deal with the deferral request.
That's item 29 is
Yes.
33 Wallington Avenue. Defer start work, okay. We've got an applicant here on the line.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if you can just introduce the file and the materials that have been submitted.
Sure. Okay, so just turning quickly to that matter. I hope it's quick. That page is only. At 33 Wallington Avenue, it's to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 1-story addition and a rear 2nd-story rooftop deck above, and a rear ground floor deck. Committee has survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, red-lined public notice, a revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations, a revised zoning waiver received October 1st, 24. Four photographs of the subject property, a cover letter from Felix Leacher as agent, and there's a staff report from city planning.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're going to unmute the agent.
Yes.
To explain the reason for deferral. We do have one registered person here that can come up and also speak to whether or not they support the deferral request. So at this time, we're going to unmute the agent.
Yes, I'm just going to get the.
Felix?
Through the chair, we're still trying to locate Felix, the agent.
Well, if we don't get that agent, maybe in another minute, MCS will take that break that's been requested and we'll go on from there. I'm just taking a look for 69. Oh, yeah. 29. 29.
Hello,
Hello?
Felix?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi there. Yes, can you give us your name and address, please? And then we understand there's a request for a deferral here. Maybe you'd explain what that's about.
Yes, for sure. So my name is Felix Leiche from 33 Fernwood Park Avenue, Toronto. Regarding the referral for the application, our client has a relative in palliative care, which he has to take care of, and therefore he didn't feel like he wanted the accommodative adjustment hearing today, especially as he was not able to get any signatures support from his neighbors. He spoke to the neighbors preparation for the hearing, but didn't get around to get their signatures and support. Basically everything what it's about.
So there'll still be some negotiation or discussions with the neighbors about what changes you're asking for?
No, the neighbors are all fine with the proposal, but he just didn't get around to collect their signatures and support. So he felt like that was missing for the application, and therefore he's asking for the deferral.
So through you, Mr. Chair, it appears that the owner wants to provide signatures of support.
Fine.
So perhaps maybe some more
Okay.
consultation with the residents?
Yep, great. Members, I suggest we defer this application.
So hold on one second, through you, Mr. Chair. We do have someone here in person from 31
Okay.
Wallington Avenue. If you can just come up to the podium, and you're just going to speak to the merits of the deferral request, okay? And just push the button. Next seat over, please, so you're in camera. Yep.
Hi there,
Okay,
thank you.
we'll give you a few minutes. And then just push the button so the red light is on. Okay.
Hi,
Hi, thanks for coming in person. Okay.
thank you for having me. My name is Robert Rouse, and I live at 31 Wallington Avenue, the house next door to 33. So I have not seen any paperwork about the deferral, so I'm uncertain about what that means and what it was he was asking for.
So the deferral request is to allow the owner to have further conversations with the residents and hopefully receive their support for the proposal.
Going forward, will there be another notice
Yes, so,
issued for
yes,
me
so
to come
once the applicant is ready to be scheduled again, then a new notice will be sent out
Okay, perfect.
to the property owners within the 60-meter radius from the subject site, as well as a new sign will be posted on the subject site.
Okay, perfect.
So you're supporting the deferral request then?
Yes. to
Yes,
Give him a
okay.
lot more time, sure.
Thank you. Back to committee.
Members, yes. Nellie?
I think in this case, and especially taking into account the support of the neighbor, I think we should grant the deferral to the owner so he can, consult the neighbors and come up with maybe, better agreement about the project. So I would move forward the motion to support the deferral.
Thank you. Secondary? Mr. Reed?
I just want to say, yeah, I think it would actually be a good idea. The lot coverage is quite significant, so it would be, I think, very significant to get the support of the neighbors, and that would definitely help with the application. So I think it's a good idea to defer as well.
Sounds good. All right, all in favor of deferred? Okay, sir, there'll be a further notice to a later meeting of this committee of adjustment. All right. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, do you want to just deal with item number 23 to finish off the 2 p.m. time slot, and then we'll take a 10-minute break? We do have the applicant online and no registered speakers for this item.
Are members comfortable? Yeah. Okay, all right, let's go on to item 23 then, all right?
So through you, Mr. Chair, you've already introduced the file. We're going to
Yes.
unmute the agent.
So 23 is 91.
Hi, John Ramirez.
Yes, hi.
Hi there. So, yes, we're back to item 23, 91 Wilcox Street. And Mr. Ramirez, I just want to read out the purpose. It's to alter the existing 2 1/2 story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a front covered porch, a front 3-story addition, a rear ground floor deck, rear 2nd and 3rd story terraces, and a rear 3rd story addition. There'll be a total of 2 residential dwelling units, a duplex, on this lot. Here's what committee has in front of it. Of course, survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 2 photographs of trees on the property. We have presentation materials from you, and there's an interest or concern, correspondence and concern from a Peter Halewood at 118 Robert Street. That was received October 11th, 24. All right, let's just get to your application.
Yes, can I speak now?
Yes, I'm sorry. Just give me just half a second. I just get the application.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Members, do you need a presentation from the applicant, or you just have questions?
Yeah. Sir, so we're just going to ask you some questions about your application. You don't need to make a presentation right now. Okay.
Sorry, it wasn't clear for me from
Sure,
the
no problem.
plans. What's the front three-story addition?
The front three-story addition is if you're looking at the pictures, I'm sorry, I'm not in front of my computer because I have to take the call from my phone. But you would see that the bay window, what you used to be there, and you'll see the neighbor's house has the same bay window, is a three-story bay window. So what we did was rebuilt that bay window. And when we got the permit, because we complied with the front yard setback, but then when it was built, we were off by 4 inches. So the inspector asked us to submit a building permit revision, which brought us here to committee.
I see. So it's basically just rebuilding what was there. It's just slightly different, and that's why. Is that correct?
Yeah, like originally it was built like the neighbors, but in the past they took it down, and then what we did is just rebuilt it to match the neighbor.
Got it. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. The second question is, this is designated heritage. I was surprised there wasn't any comment from Heritage. Have you been in touch with them?
Yeah, when we got our building permit, we had to submit an application with them, and they were satisfied with our designs and our permit drawings. So this is after the fact. We built everything, and we were, like I said, the inspector caught these minor deficiencies, so that's why we're here.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's very helpful.
Yeah, I have a question with regards to variance number 2. It seems like a soft landscaping requirement is off by, missing 20 or 20% to reach the minimum 50. Can you offer, or do you have any ideas how we can mitigate that?
What's that?
I guess if you see the photos that I've provided, originally it was all hardscape. There was no green space. So because of the size of the backyard and the existing garage that's there, and the minimal space that we have in the back, the builder took this chance to add as much green space as he could. But you can see in the pictures there that I provided, the before and after, there was no hardscape in the past. I mean, sorry, no soft landscaping in the past.
Okay, and you think there is no further action you can, make to increase the soft landscaping, or to maybe, go with some kind of permeable surface?
It would be very difficult to add any more soft landscaping, because we need a pathway to get to the back lane and to the front of the house. So like I mentioned, and you can see in the pictures, we added as much green space right off the deck to help with drainage and to add more green space.
Any other questions for the speakers online? All right. All right, let's take it into committee. 5 variances asked for, but yes, go ahead.
I mean, this is actually a huge improvement over the previous property. It's kind of been reverted to matching its neighbor, and while the green space is not ideal, it's much better than what the situation was before. So I think this is very much a desirable change myself. So Anyway, so I'll move a motion to approve the variances, and I don't think there's any conditions.
No. Sorry, just one thing, Madam Deputy Secretary. I had noticed our correspondence of concern from Peter Halewood. We haven't heard from him, or he's not here today, right? There's no further
Through
person.
you, Mr. Chair, we don't have him registered.
Richard, yeah, okay. I apologize. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a seconder? Read and read, maybe? No, all right, it's Mr. Paul Gauguin. All right. All in favor? Sir, you have your approval of those variances. Good luck with finishing the project.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 3:46.
Okay, ooh. Members and staff, okay, just recontinuing now, and next item we're going to take a look at is item 24. The property address is 130 Roxborough Drive. Here's the purpose. It's to alter the existing rear one-story ancillary building, detached garage, by converting a portion of the building into habitable space, and to construct a new half-story peaked roof addition. There'll be one parking space provided on the lot. Committee has before it a copy of a plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 3 photographs of trees on the subject property, a covering letter from Morteza Davari as agent. In terms of commenting agencies, etc., we have correspondence from application technician, committee of adjustment. We also have heritage planning and transportation engineering also providing comments. Finally, there's a staff report from urban forestry. And I see that there's a suggestion for an urban forestry condition on this particular application. All right, there are 5 variances to effect that project. Could we please have the owner or agent on the line, please?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item.
All right, thank you very much.
At this time, we'll unmute Morteza Davari.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, if you just get your full name again and the street address, please.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. And my name is Morteza Davari. I'm the designer and agent representing the owner of 130 Roxborough Drive. My address is 3080 Young Street, Suite 6060, Toronto. Should the committee have any question, I would be more than happy to address them.
Well, I asked you just to quickly tell us a little bit about this, just to understand it a little better. A one-story ancillary building, this is detached to garage, and is some of it going to be habitable space and some of it will still be garage space for a vehicle? Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We are requesting your consideration of minor variances related to the existing garage in the rear yard. The proposal is to convert part of the garage into sunroom for family use while keeping the structure's original footprint unchanged.
Okay, fine. Now there are 5 variances requested. Just a second. Yeah, I'll just ask other members in a moment of the panel, but I'm just noticing variance 2. So I see the ancillary building can't be used for living accommodation in this area, and that's a change of use that you're asking for here. Okay. Members, any questions or clarifications? Yes, one. All right. Okay, sir, just hang in.
Yeah, in terms, so it's a charming idea. I'm assuming that the plan is just to use this as a kind of a spare room, not as a bedroom. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I was just wondering why, I mean, the one notable change that you're doing is you're increasing the size of the height of the roof, which is a variance. I was just wondering why you felt the desire to do that as opposed to just leaving the existing roof.
Yes, the removal of the existing garage roof was necessary to improve both aesthetic appeal and functionality of the structure. As mentioned in our cover letter, the height increase was required to allow more natural light through the proposed dormers, benefiting the living space while maintaining the original footprint of the garage. The goal was to enhance the aesthetics of the property and improve the homeowner's quality of life, all while ensuring that the changes do not adversely affect the surrounding properties.
Anyone else? I'm just going to remind myself about transportation engineering, what they'd said. Yeah. No change, just, no objection to one on spot. Okay, that's parking. Okay, sir, we're going to just take it into staff, into committee here, just for discussion. If we need to get back to you, we will. Members, you want to initiate some discussion here? Any particular variance that you want to to key on? All right.
I'll just, discussion in the committee, the change looks much more like a conversion into, habitable space, into some kind of, not apartment, but, some kind of a room. And, sorry? Okay, sorry, but, and it seems to me it's again, the use is not permitted by the bylaws.
Living accommodation,
But
yeah.
it does look like a new use, not just a sunroom, like especially with a dormer.
Oh, so you think someone's going to live in there, or you think it's going to be used as like a spare room?
Just rising out of that discussion, just wanted to ask the applicant, is there a washroom going to be in that ancillary building?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, so it is more for use by,
For every time.
use by the owner and family, okay, all right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, variance number 2 speaks to the fact that the ancillary building will be used for living accommodation.
Yes, that's why I was asking about a washroom. We've had a number of washroom breaks here today, all certainly needed. And I was just wondering.
And it's converted into habitable space, so it can be used for habitable space by anyone.
Like during
It's not.
COVID, you saw a lot of people converting their garden sheds into little offices and things like that. So this just looks like a creative use of some available space outside the house. I don't think that's going to be.
Excuse me, can I add a comment?
Yeah.
I agree with Paul. I think that this looks like a very reasonable use for a backyard, and it's like it faces onto the kind of interior side of the lot. I think it's a nice space, and I think it's kind of too small for an actual garden suite. So I would support it, but I think if we did approve it, I would like it tied to south and west elevations, I think, just to capture that, because 5.78 is pretty high, but if it's just a point, then that's fine.
Paul, do you want to initiate a motion?
I think this is a reasonable application. I do think it's minor in nature. I think it's also not only they proposing a sunroom or whatever it is, but it also looks like doing some maintenance on the actual structure as well, because it looks like it needs some maintenance and whatnot. So I suggest we approve it. I think there is a forestry condition.
Number 2.
Number 2. And there were no comments from transportation or from heritage. So just forestry condition 2.
Through you, Mr. Chair, are we also tying it to elevation plans?
Tying it, and also tying it to
South and west?
south and west elevations.
Great. I would second that.
All right, all in favor then of that with those conditions, the 2 conditions? All right, therefore, any opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Nellie. All right, sir, the approval has been given a 4-1 split in terms of voting, but the variances are granted with those conditions. All right, item 25, 701 Queen. All right, then moving on to item 25. The address here is 701 Queen Street West. Well, Queen Street West. Here's the purpose. To construct a new 3-story attached mixed-use building abutting a rear lane with a rear ground floor patio, a rear second floor partially covered deck with stairs, and a rear third floor deck with stairs. There'll be a total of 3 units within the mixed-use building. 1 commercial unit on the, there must be on the, and has to be basement, sorry, just bad wording here. One commercial unit and basement and first story, one residential dwelling unit on the second story, and one residential unit on the third story, and no visitor parking spaces will be provided. Committee has survey site plan, floor plans, and elevations, revised site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have 3 photographs of the subject property. We have covering letters from Bruno Lopez as agent. Commenting agencies, so we have staff reports from Heritage again, Manager of Community Planning, Manager Transportation Review, an advisory report only from Metrolinx. There is opposition, correspondence and opposition from Lois Dellert and Eves Talbot at 654 Richmond Street West. That was received October 8th, 2024. Yes, that's the material then that we have.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item. I am going to ask the presenter to present on the screen. There was very late plans that were submitted yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So we'll present those on the screen, but I'm asking the applicant to walk you through what the revisions are.
Thanks.
Bruno Lopez.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Bruno Lopez. I'm Excel Engineering and Associates located at 1649 CLAIR Avenue West.
All right, thank you. Yes, so we understand there have been some very recent revisions, and perhaps you should walk us through the various levels. I read out the purpose, which is a little complex. So perhaps you'd break this down for us. A 3-story attached mixed-use building abutting a rear lane. You want to take it up from there?
Yeah, absolutely. Through Mr. Chair. Yeah, this actually, to me, seems very straightforward. Just bringing a little bit of history and context. This building actually, as we speak, doesn't exist. So there was a fire on an adjacent building that came into this building.
Oh, yeah.
And actually pretty much contaminated the entire building. So MXL was engaged to actually be the structural advisor for the building, and we have to actually put it down because it was structurally not sound. So in bringing up the similarities of the existing building, this was an existing condition. So there was an existing main floor business that still has a long-term lease, and they do intend to continue on the building. They were using the existing basement. If staff can please go to page A0401, I think we'll make a little bit more clear about what I'm describing.
Yeah.
It's the cross section, A0401, there we go. So literally, Mr. Chair, what was here was the exact same main floor and basement. The small mini alterations that we are doing is that on the second and third floor, there were already 2 existing units, but what we are doing right now is just slightly extend the area. So if you can see the dining and living rooms that we have now, they are quite generous, and before they were too small. One of the ideas as well, and this is the reasoning why we don't offer parking at the back, is that the owners became a little bit, if I might say, paranoid with the fire. And literally, they ask us to work out so we can have 2 exits for each apartment. So if staff can go to A0000, which is pretty much the very first one, you'll see that 000. Yes, there you go. So you see on these 3D pictures, so we have exits towards the front and we have exits towards the back. So this was the main reasoning. So we were taking slight advantage of still having a little bit of room there. So we create these a little bit more bigger patios than usual, as was already referred by one of the committee members in previous applications, that when you have just a 4 square meters, and so they're very small. So since we have the real estate there, we create these patios there. So I know there is a letter of opposition, and they are concerned about the patios or so. These are not patios. These are actually for the use of whoever is going to rent the place as the residential. And this is not intended to be a bar or a cafe or something like that. So in essence, we are building exact same. It's just slightly bigger on the second and third floor. The reason why we submitted yesterday plans, we tried to do it in lightning
speed. What happens is that we noticed that transportation on their report, they were asking us to grant a 0.25 meter sleeve towards the laneway, and that's what we have done. So the plans are exactly the same. The building is not changed at all. If we can go to site plan, if staff can pull up the site plan. If you can see there is a sleeve at the back that we left, and it's part of the mandatory setback. So when we have the mandatory setback, the building is already set back from the lane. However, transportation was asking a sleeve of 0.25 to be permanently conveyed to the city, and that's what this plan is reflecting. That was the only change. All the rest remain unchanged, and to me, again, very straightforward application.
I'm sorry, just hearing the end of that, sorry. You're saying that essentially city engineering or transportation wanted, I guess, a land,
Yes,
land conveyance?
report, they were requesting a 0.25 conveyance, which is a permanent conveyance to the city, because according to the city vision, laneways need to be widened, and they're gonna do one property at a time, and every time any property will redevelop, they're gonna get with this conveyance.
So you're willing to do that in this case, although there's no consent to sever here?
No.
No, okay, no. It wouldn't need to be for conveyance to a municipality, but all right.
No, we'll have to present a new art draft plan. We'll do everything with our surveyor as requested by transportation, and we'll give this piece of land at no cost to the city.
So in terms of the variances you're looking for, then there should be 2 parking spaces, but there's going to be 0. And then there's that setback business. Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Members, any questions? Want anything, Claire? Yes, please.
You've seen the condition from City Planning and Heritage. I was wondering if what you thought of that and whether you're open to redesigning the front as they request to better reflect the heritage character of the strip.
Yes, absolutely. Through you, Mr. Chair. Member Dillon. Yeah, we actually had, I had myself several conversations with Heritage and Toronto Planning, and I mentioned to them that it would be a little bit too early to address their comments at the zoning stage, because things might change, but certainly we'll work with them at the building permit stage, because right now we haven't defined materials, textures, colors, anything, right? So we'll work closely with them, and yes, we'll make this work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
What do you think, remember, do you think just on that heritage issue, just looking at my own notes, so they were concerned about the front facade of the building, and I think we're suggesting they should work more with staff. Is that something we should work into, like a condition, then?
Heritage provide the condition that we can.
Is it a condition or a recommendation?
No, it's a condition.
Okay, that'd be good.
The condition is a recommendation.
All right, if there are no further questions, we don't have any further deputies on this, members, I'd like to put forward a motion, please. Yes.
A motion.
Okay.
Yeah, so this seems to be a good plan, basically replacing what existed before, and providing, enhanced living space, which is always a great thing. The rear patios look like they won't really be intrusive on anyone, and will provide, good outdoor space for the residents of those apartments. And certainly there's no need for parking on Queen Street West. So I move that we approve these variances with the heritage condition about the owner strongly encouraged to revise the design of the front facade of the proposed building and so on, and with the transportation conditions, which I recognize are partially addressed by the revised plans, but I think they should still be included.
Sounds good. Seconder for that motion, please.
Did you get the community planning conditions or just heritage? They're kind of the same thing, I think.
Oh yeah, and the community planning condition, which is similar to the heritage condition, but
It's a bit clearer, I think, yeah.
Thanks very much.
I'll second that.
Second that with those conditions. All right, all in favor of that? Vote. All right, unanimous approval with those, I think, 3 conditions. Okay. Turning to item 26, 353, 357 College Street. Just give me a moment to call those up. Yeah, okay. Yes, thanks. Then going to item 26. 353 and 357 College Street. Here's the purpose: to alter the existing 4-story detached building, hostel, by constructing a complete 5th-story addition and a side east 5-story addition with a ground level rear patio, a fourth floor roof terrace, and a rear 5th floor roof terrace. A portion of the ground level will contain retail uses. There's an active site plan control application ongoing with the city for this property. Committee has the following: survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 covering letters from Stuart Adams as agent, a cover letter from Stuart Adams as agent. References also made to a previous committee decision in 2018. There's an arborist report by private sector and a tree protection plan also prepared privately. In terms of commenting agencies, we have email correspondence from tree protection or urban forestry, and support. This correspondence and support from Dr. Karen Hack at 71 Oxford Street received.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent and owner here in person.
Oh, very good.
I am going to ask the presenter to present the heritage staff report that was submitted yesterday. And there's 2 conditions if the committee finds merit to approve the report. And through you, Mr. Chair, I don't see any registered speakers for this item.
Okay, let me just deal with what we got here.
Can we make this a little bigger so we can see it on our screens?
Thanks, guys. Well, gentlemen, I'll read this out just so we know. Should committee approve, this is coming from Heritage and Design, then they suggest 2 conditions. Prior to the issuance of site plan approval, plans including elevations and details incorporating all heritage structures and elements to be conserved, they be submitted to the satisfaction of the Senior Manager, Heritage Planning, Urban Design. The second related condition is prior to the issuance of a building permit drawings, including plans, elevations, and details, shall be submitted to the satisfaction of Senior Manager, Heritage Planning, Urban Design. Okay, and just as the applicant, so you're saying you're satisfied with those particular conditions? Should we approve this matter?
My name's Stuart Adams.
Yes,
I'm at 151 Shaw Street.
Okay.
I'm the agent for the owner.
Yes.
Anthony, that sits beside me today.
Okay.
Regarding Heritage's comments, if the committee decides to approve this today, we would ask that they not include the Heritage comments or conditions for several reasons. One, my client came before the committee, I think in 2010, got a variance. 20, oh, okay. But he bought the property in 2010, restored the heritage building, which had gone to seed, and in 2012, the Heritage did a study of College Street and pointed out that it was a building of interest with the potential of 7 stories. We have been through 2 rounds of SPA and addressed every concern that Heritage has had. We still need to go through one more. Planning has told us they never want to see us again. They've got to get it out. And the building code changes at the end of this year, so we're trying to rush to get approval. It's not, if you include it, that's fine too, but we're trying to streamline the process at this point and not increase it. Would you like a presentation?
Yeah, I think you just tell us a little more about the building. I mean, we start with saying it's a 4-story detached building, a hostel, and then you're doing a whole 5th-story addition and a side 5th-story addition. And yeah, if there are photographs, that'd be terrific.
Yes.
So we'd understand it. Is this to be ultimately a hotel use, or
It's a hostel. It's currently a hostel. It's been a hostel for the last 14 years.
Okay.
It's in the heritage portion with a addition to the roof for a common space with a terrace at the back currently on the one property. My clients bought the 2 properties next to him and would like to expand that way. We have added a floor since the 2018 approval by the committee, and there's increased density because when it came before the committee last time, the property area included the lane at the back, which was a private lane. We went through 2 SPAs, and then it was decided that we didn't own the property at the back, and so we're before you again, even on that basis. It was a miscalculation that occurred in 2018. Just to deal with the 6 points, there's really...
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
One's, I'll start with the last one, the use.
Yeah.
A hotel is not a permitted use. This has been on the site operating as a hostel, which is considered a hotel since 2010. Before that, it was in Kensington Market to the south. Nobody's ever complained about it. There's been no noise issues, nothing for the last 14 years. Also, directly to the south is another hostel, like our neighbors to the south are a hostel. So we don't think that there's a problem with the use and as it stands now. It's also Kensington Market. These people who come to the hostel are travelers, and they spend time in the market, supporting the market, and it's a symbiotic relationship between the two. That's it for the hotel, the use. There's also height issues. We're asking for a height that's about just less than 50% more than is in the zoning bylaw. A couple of the points in that is that the reason we're high is because we have a courtyard in the back that provides amenity, light, air for the new units in the hostel, but also the neighbors to the south, which have views northward in the other hostel, get to use that space as well. And the people to the east, again, could use it if they wanted to for light and air. It'll be there for as long as the project's in this state. The other reasons are, as described in the original, there's a 4th floor setback along College Street, which deals with the urban design guidelines and setting back, not just to for the purpose of our neighbors that are heritage sites to the west, but also the park to the north. There's a parkette on the corner of Brunswick. We don't shadow it. Planning doesn't see a problem with the height at all. The other reason is we have on the 5th floor, we also have a terrace to the south. The current project or business has a terrace to the south. It works in conjunction with the top floor common space. As it's a hostel, there's common space on the top floor and there's common space on the lower floor into the courtyard. So these are amenities that you need if you're, you just have a room where you can basically go to your bed and read and sleep. So that's the reason why it's higher than it would be. It's actually a good good citizen, good neighbor. There's also the issue of density. It is dense. It's just over 50% increase in density. But we sit right across the road from a building that's got one more floor to us, and it's a block long without any setbacks or anything. The area down the street at the condo on the east side of us, but south side. Sorry, I don't have any, but it's the T&T is in the base, the supermarket. It's 14 stories. Buildings at Bathurst and College along the other way, after you clear the sort of school heritage sites, they're 8- and 9-story condominiums. So we're actually, as the heritage report said, we're kind of low, and in massing. I guess that's it for the presentation. And if there's any questions, we'll see if we can deal with them.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Some of that height's also because of the solar panels, right?
Yes, there's about 3 meters for mechanical and solar equipment on the roof. The existing hostel has solar panels on the roof of it. We're expanding that to go with the new hostel area. We also have geothermal in the lane, a couple 100 feet down in copper piping for heat in the existing facility. And in the courtyard, we're proposing a cistern to collect the rainwater from the roof and distribute it around the building for just non-potable, like for toilets and watering the plants and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
If we move the solar panels height, it would be around 20 meters high, the building?
I think there's a drawing that shows that. I don't want to misstate. There's a mechanical unit in the middle of it that's higher than the solar panels themselves. But it's up in the middle of the solar panels. The top of is 127, and we have 128 to the top of the mechanical. Oh, I see, yeah. So from the parapet, it's about 1.5 meters, 5 feet or more from the parapet, which is a bit higher than the grade, but it's a couple of meters, I'd say, overall. You can see it up on the top there.
Members, any other questions for the applicant here? No, okay. No forestry condition, nothing like that on it. All right. Just kind of curious about the use a little bit. They usually just, when they have a lease, they get some kind of license. I mean, what's the?
Can you do that? Or do
Hi, I'm Anthony Arts. Yes. I'm the owner of the property.
Yep. Anthony, yep.
I've been operating a property like that for over 24 years. This particular property opened in January 2011. All of our guests are, I would say 90 to 95% of them are foreign. They are usually young graduates who are traveling for the first time. And we are the first destination in Canada, with Toronto being a port city because of our big airport. Sure. They stay for a range, on average, about 4 days. There is no long-term stays. So they check in, they meet guests, they have fun, they see the city, they go to the local bars and restaurants, and they get on the plane and go out west or go to Montreal or travel the rest of Canada.
All right, thank you. That's helpful.
Question, Chair.
Sure.
I know you have concerns about including the heritage conditions.
Can I respond to that one?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I started this application, I was 49 years old. I'm 57 now. Heritage, even after I physically restored the building, Heritage held me in chains for about 1.5 years. Their biggest concern at the time was there was not enough contrast between the original building and the new building. We have definitely achieved contrast in this application, and I will work with them, but I do not want to be held in chains again with them. That was the most difficult period of this application process.
I see the report was dated just yesterday then, right? October 15th, so.
And they're not objecting to anything. They haven't cited anything they want changed. They just want to be kept in the loop. But the SPA process keeps them in the loop. So
that's a good point.
I don't know
agree that
what, they're just,
Yeah.
I can't comment on how they work.
And they really can't really control architectural features, so, you know.
We ended up with the city councillor for them to accept the last committee of adjustment thing. So we did get acceptance from them through the councillor the last time, but that was after a year and a half or 2 years, and it was obvious to the top people that their concerns, we're not touching the building. I spent a year and a half restoring it. We're keeping it. The reason it looks good is because I made it look good.
Excellent. I'll have to take a look at that when I'm down on College Street near Kensington Market sometime. It'd be good. Members, okay, any, yes, Ali?
To the best of your knowledge, the hostel, south of the street, do they have a license or do they have a permit to operate the hostel?
To which?
Permit to operate.
You don't need a permit to own a hotel or operate a hotel in the city of Toronto?
Because they use it, that, in your case, it's not permitted, right? Like if
Oh. No, it's funny. If you look at the date on that thing, it's 19 or 18. They changed the law after they accepted our last application. So I find that curious as well. It was permitted in 2018, the first time I came around. So it is, that facility behind me has been there for over 25 years. And I've been there since January 2011.
Maybe we just have some discussion here. My own thinking and feeling as having heard that is, there's a site plan approval application they're going to go through. Why doesn't Heritage use that process to get its oar in if there's anything to be changed? So I think I wouldn't add their conditions. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I think this is a really interesting and well thought out application. It seems obvious that a hostel use is excellent at this location. It's totally a desirable place for young travelers to stop and visit. I'm impressed by the environmental things that are being included. The solar panels, the geothermal, et cetera. It seems like it's been really well thought out. So I think this is very, very supportable. Also, I'm glad that they included the shadow study. It shows that the extra height really only overshadows the sidewalk on the other side very briefly during the day on the equinox, which I think is significant. I think that's actually important, especially in Kensington, which is quite an open space. So I don't think the shadow impacts are significant. Overall, I think this is a really great proposal, and I agree. I think the applicants have made a good case for not including the heritage condition.
All right, then, why don't we bring forward a motion? We can deal with this item and then continue with further.
Yeah, I'm happy to move approval based on based on the reasons that I stated. I'll move approval of these variances without a condition.
All right, all in favor? Oh, we have unanimity. You've got to pass, or you got an.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll check it out someday along College.
I'll give you a tour.
I'll take a look. Okay. All right, folks, just let me get my. Remaining what we have here. Okay. Okay. 27, 228 Lonzone, okay, let's get that. Okay, sorry, continuing with our item then. Item 27, 228 LONSMOUNT Drive. Let me tell you about it and what we've got on it, 228. Here's the purpose: to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a three-story addition at the northwest portion of the dwelling with an integral garage, a front side northeast third-floor patio on the roof of the second story below, and a rear south third-floor patio on the roof of the second story below. The existing one-story attached garage will be demolished. This committee has plan of survey, site plans, floor plans, and elevations, a 2017 decision of this committee affecting the subject property, an arborist report, a private one, presentation materials by Leon Wang as agent, a tree protection plan by a private sector. In terms of commenting agencies or reports or emails, we have a staff report from Urban Forestry. Finally, we have in support 4 form letters in support signed by owners or occupants of the following addresses: 224, 229, 231, 232 Lonsmouth Drive. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online. We also have 2 registered speakers here in person. So we'll unmute the agent at this time.
All right.
Hello, my name is Leon Wan from Unit 201, 80 Fulton Way. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Toronto Committee of Adjustment. I am the architect on behalf of the owner at number 228 Longsmount Drive. This existing two-story dwelling was built in 1960s. If you look at my presentation material, the owner is an artist painter who is painting and managing her art studio every day at home. She has a family with 2 children, 10-year-old boy and 1-year-old daughter. The owner needed more spaces for her family living and her art collections. For those situations just mentioned above, we are requesting the Committee of Adjustment to authorize a minor variance to permit the owner to demolish the existing attached garage and construct a 3-story addition at the northwest portion of the dwelling with an integral garage. There are currently 7 minor variances: front and side yard setbacks, building length and building depth, as well as the main wall height. If you look at the site plan, the property is a pie shape that the front yard and the exterior side yard are both facing to Longsmount Drive. The proposed front yard setbacks for the addition is 3.51 meters, whereas the minimum required is 7.17 meters. Please note the current front yard setback for the existing house is only 3.39 meters. Although we have building length and depth variances, the proposed exterior rear wall of the addition is flushed with the existing rear wall of the house. Please note there are no building height and lot coverage variances. We believe all these 7 variances are minimal and acceptable. We also received 4 supporting letters from the neighbors: 224, 229, 231, and 232 Longsmount Drive. Finally, we hope this modern addition design will bring more value to this neighborhood. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. So is building length and building depth reasonably significant here in terms of increase? Okay, and exterior main walls are a little higher. Questions for the applicant? Yes. I'm seeing we'll get to the speakers in a second, but just any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. All right, that's fine. Okay, we'll hold that then. Just hang on, Mr. Morang, and we'll go to the other speakers then, please.
One at a time.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Takashi Yamashita. My wife and my 2 children, we live at 233 LONSMOUNT Drive, kind of a diagonal view from the subject house. We've been in the area since 2011. I'm generally familiar with the background of the bylaws. The rationale for that is my wife and I just recently received our zoning certificate. We went through a process where we did not approach the committee. We thought that the city's bylaws allowed for consistency of the urban good planning principles as well as for the design. I'm also an architect. My wife would not let me design the house. We hired an architect for that, but nevertheless, I am an architect. And I'm also a real estate developer. So we're generally somewhat familiar with the area. The reason I'm here is not to stand in the way of my fellow neighbors, for them to invest in the neighborhood. I'm reinvesting in the neighborhood myself. I already have our permits, but I just have a couple of things that are really came forward to light that put us more as objecting the design as submitted right now. As by way of illustration here, the first thing I would remark is that the setback of I think it's 1.7 meters is something that's kind of shown on this illustration here. This is from Google Maps, and you can see that we're looking at the curvature of LONSMOUNT Drive. It's notable in the sense of curvature because on the upper right-hand side is the gorgeous Cedar Vale Ravine system, and it's curving kind of at this point in the topography of this part of the city. And so LONSMOUNT Drive, which runs both north-south and east-west, but it's not a 90-degree turn. It's a gentle curve as it meanders around, and that curve is really from the topography of the Cedar Vale Ravine itself. And so you can see in this image here, it's a pretty simple drawing, but it just shows that there's a whole bunch of front yard setbacks, and I'm just really focusing on the subject south side. In the next image, you can see, there we are. Yeah, thank you. You can see kind of where the red is the proposed addition is, more than, it's like 50% of the setback is being eroded, notwithstanding the old house, the existing house which is smaller in structure, et cetera. Yes, that one does, is already impacting on this so-called front yard setback. But the front yard setback on this property turns. The feeling of the front is not a front and a side. It's all front yard by the way that the planning has been set up. And so the proposed addition is materially encroaching on the front yard setback of this property. If I, and I'm speaking with this a little bit of like recent history in the sense that if it never occurred to me to come forward on the front of my house, I'm at 233, so I'm just on the north side of the diagonal. I didn't think that to come forward 3 meters or 2 meters into the front yard setback of mine. I just didn't think that was a good planning idea to start encroaching front yard setbacks that way. So this corner is very follows the geography, and I think this is a major variance, not by any means a minor variance. So I think it's worthy of just these comments. On the next slide, if you just scroll down, and sorry, my scanner had a problem with one, so if you just keep scrolling, you can ignore that awkward image. It's the same image on the next one. So this diagonally hatched, you can really see the curve here. You can see roughly the profile of the existing structure there. Thank you for zooming in. But the diagonal hatch in blue is essentially the existing buildable area, like what's permitted. It's an interesting site because the front yard, which is which is on the upward side of that drawing, it bends around. So you can see that there's lots of buildable area. The idea to move into the LONSMOUNT side of things is really tricky. I think there's lots of space essentially to move the design back some dimension without encroaching on the homeowner's vision. With the council's committee's permission, just one other point that I'm representing an owner at 221, Jennifer and Noah Shine. They're not available. They asked me to speak on their behalf. Mr. Gary Davis, who's another resident in the area, is also here.
Well, you've passed your 5 minutes, so I'm going to give you a little more time. I should be very concise then in speaking to with respect to other.
Wonderful. I'll for consistency for speed, Gary, I'll continue on. I will simply make one other observation: is that when one examines the floor plans, the new addition is adding elements like another kitchen, so without removing the existing kitchen. So the only part that's a little confusing to me as neighbor, as an architect, is that this looks like a duplex, where I can't quite understand the nature of, never mind the setback at the front, but I don't understand the floor plans about. Is that consistent with appropriate development in this zoning? This having a full other living room, new dining room, new kitchen, while maintaining all the other existing kitchen where the family lives now, is a very confusing situation. This looks like a duplex by everything that I understand as having two separate kitchens or separate entrances. This doesn't look like a so-called nanny suite. I'm just curious about where this is going with its use, and I know the neighborhood is essentially single-family dwelling in that regard. So it's really a bigger picture. It didn't come up as a variance, but I just don't understand, and I thought I'd bring it to this committee here, where this looks like a duplex from all the floor plans that we're looking at here. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and so is Gary as well.
Okay, sorry, no questions. Any questions for the speaker? No.
Hello, please.
Yeah, did you have a chance to discuss your concerns with the owner or owner's representative?
No, I received the letter. My wife and I received the correspondence from the city. I came through a WhatsApp with my other neighbors saying, hey, what do you think of this? I haven't had an opportunity to do that just with my elderly parents and my business travel. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with them about it. No one came to my door. So that answer, I didn't receive any correspondence.
Or is there a further speaker deputant then to hear from? Yes.
Gary, do you wish to say? Yeah.
Good afternoon, one and all. I'm Gary Davis. I live at 242 LONSMOUNT, which is just to the west of this property. Like my friend Takashi, I'm an architect, retired. I had the great privilege of winning the Governor General's Award for Architecture in '82 and received that from Madame Sauvé. My comment.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd say congratulations. Very nice.
Thanks. It was fun, and she was a nice, petite little lady. As an architect, I'm well-versed in good design, and I can read drawings. And like Takashi, my concern is this is not an extension of I like the idea of an extended family. This is a duplex. I wonder if the people controlling the documents over there can bring up the floor plans of the third floor with the windows. Wait a second. There. That's it. That's the one. In reality, you know, as a fire and life safety person and expert when I practiced, if this were to be a duplex, those windows would all be fire rated and not operable, it would seem to me. So there's a fire and life safety issue with this design. There's also the issue, and I would like to echo Takeshi's comment about the significant incursion into the front yard setback. The drawings for the setback show a foundation-like plan with dashed lines, et cetera, and you can go up a couple, go up or back. No, keep going the other way. Keep going back towards the site plan.
Through the chair, you want me to stay on this drawing and zoom into a different area?
No, go back to the site plan.
Okay, then, okay, so.
And then, that's all.
A0-0, yeah. Where on the site plan do you want me to zoom into, sir?
I would like to look at where the setback is, the dimension.
Okay.
And we see the block from the foundation, what appears to be the garage foundation. Now, if you go to the elevation and that would be the west elevation because that would be the cardinal direction. Great. The garage ends and there's a cantilever which describes the master bedroom and various other rooms on the second and third floors. But the setback seems to be dimensioned to that ground plane element, which is brick, agreed, and which is the 3.1 some odd meters. So he's cantilevering forward further into the setback, reducing it by yet another meter, meter and a half, whatever. There's no dimension. But like Takeshi, when we designed and won the Governor General's Award, there was no question we wouldn't violate what we thought was a good planning principle, and that being the front yard setback in a neighborly way. So beyond that, I thank you, and if you've got questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Nothing from me. Members, any questions? No. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we could hear from the applicant again.
Yes, we can go back to the applicant.
Yes, first of all, thank you both. Thank you for your comments. So for this project, it's not a duplex. The client is, as I mentioned before, the client is a freelance artist painter. She needs an art gallery. So this addition, as you see from the elevations, it's a kind of like a modern design. Per the first comments, you mentioned there's a lot of beautiful area, but just keep in mind, we are not demolishing the whole house. We are keeping the existing two-story house, which was built in 1960s. We like the existing old European style. And then for the new addition, we want really kind of modern contemporary to join together. That is a part of the, for not only for living, but most of the time is for art gallery and drawing, painting, guest bedrooms. As the client, she travels a lot. She's going to meet different artists all over the world, and she also invited the friends, the painters, the artists, the sculptors all over the world. So yes, we did show the kitchen on that on the addition, but we can take the stove out, so that can be the bar area. We don't want to create a secondary unit or duplex. As I mentioned earlier, the existing house was kind of a small, not big enough for the family with the two children, nannies, and also the parents. That's the first thing. Second, for the windows facing between the existing and the proposed, I think that is done at the building permit stage. In the building permit stage, we might reduce or remove those windows. Nothing related to the zoning. Per the front yard setback. So if you look at this drawing, the existing front yard setback for the existing house corner, which is the top, is 3.39 meters. Because this is a pie shape, front yard, exterior side yard are joined together facing to the LONSMOUNT drive. Existing was 3.39 meters. Our proposed was 3.51 meters. And also on the second floor, there's a balcony. We pushed the building facing up in. Before doing any this, actually the client sent the drawings to the neighbors. They also discussed this with the other neighbors. They like this kind of design. So in terms of the style, I think it's very personal, right? So I don't think this is. We all think this is a good design per me and the clients and also other neighbors' perspective. If you look at the first picture from my material presentation, the two photos on the right corner, actually it's a neighbor, 230, I believe, 230. It is, very modern, contemporary, 3-story, abstract form. And actually, if you look at the site plan, it is only 1 feet or less than 1 feet to the property line. It's just touched to the property line. For our proposed, we just leave another 3 feet away. So I don't because that one, I don't think this, I don't think this is, I think this is a good design.
All right, anything further? Okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry, any questions of the applicant there? No, okay. Well, let's take this into committee and some thoughts. Side yard, anybody want, so not side, the front yard setback, anybody want to?
Sure, I can start with some comments. I think there are a couple good things with it and some very not so good things either. I think retaining the existing house and adding a kind of additional addition, a very large addition, I think is good. It's refreshing to see retaining an existing house. But yeah, I think as the neighbors pointed out, there are questions around whether this is a duplex or not. I mean, I think that's a bit more of a buildings question. But my main issue is that front yard setback, that it's really protruding into it in a way that it doesn't have to. I think there is a lot of room on this site wherein you could add a sizable addition to meet whatever requirements is needed by the owners. But I think that protrusion out and then the extent back to that west wall is just, it's an immense blank wall. I think there are better alternatives to developing this site, so I won't support it.
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, so 2 things. First of all, the fact that the old house intrudes into the front yard setback doesn't mean that you get to create a different, separate intrusion into the front yard setback. In fact, I think that would be all the more reason not to. So I really, yeah, there's that. I don't think that that's appropriate at all. Secondly, this is to me clearly a stealth semi-detached house. This is a completely separate house. Happens to have a door between them, but it's an entire house. It's got 4 bedrooms. It's got a kitchen, dining room. It's bigger than a lot of the separate houses that we see. If this was for a gallery and a guest bedroom, you could do this in much, much smaller space. And it would also be designated as a gallery and a guest bedroom. There's absolutely no need for a 3-story, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house that's absolutely a separate house. And the agent didn't really explain, if there was some kind of explanation, if this was like for, grandparents or something, but even then it would be hard to explain, because why would grandparents need 4 bedrooms, or even kids need 4 bedrooms? So to me, this is clearly a kind of a stealth stealth semi-detached house. And I don't think it's appropriate to approve it at all. And I don't think that the front yard, the front yard setback has been, I don't think that's appropriate either. I think that you can easily build something, plenty of space. You could build a lovely gallery and guest bedroom without taking this much space and without making that degree of intrusion to the front yard setback. So I can't support this.
All right. Yes, Nellie, please. Hmm?
Just to add something, I agree with my colleagues that this project is problematic, and I will support it. But I would like to draw our attention to the fact that there is a worrying trend to compare the variances in a certain application to extremities or variances, somewhere in the vicinity, and it's not the correct approach. So we have to kind of keep in mind we have to compare the variances to the bylaws and not whatever somebody achieved on the street. So just a little.
All right, then you're prepared to put a motion forward on this application? Yes, Peter? All right,
Chair, for the reasons I stated and the reasons my colleagues stated, I move that the application be refused.
Seconded by Mr. Reid, Heather Reid. All right, all in favor? Okay. Yes, that is unanimous. We're refusing that application, sir, and we've turned it down. All right, on to item 28, and I'll just Blackthorn Avenue, and let me just give me a few seconds to call that up. Take a look at that one. Okay. All right, 37 Blackthorn Avenue. Here's the purpose of it. It's to alter existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a third-story addition with a deck above a portion of the second story of this dwelling. So let's just see if that again. Two-story detached, constructing a third-story addition with a deck. Committee has a copy of plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. 7 photographs of the subject property. A covering letter from Bruno Lopes, applicant, a decision from 2017 from this Committee of Adjustment, and commenting agencies, simply an advisory report from Metrolinx, and we also have opposition correspondence and opposition from Ruth Williams and Justin Trigani at 47 Prescott Avenue. Also correspondence and opposition from Jennifer Ann McCowan at 39 Blackthorn Avenue, and Paul Ferreira at 36 Prescott Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have Bruno Lopez, who's the agent online. We did have Jennifer McCowan from 39 Blackthorn Avenue registered.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've made multiple attempts, haven't been able to contact her.
Okay.
But you do have the opposition report in front of you.
Yes. Okay.
So at this time, we'll unmute Bruno Lopez, and then no other registered speakers.
So two variances here. Then we've got the height and floor space index. All right. Hi, Mr. Lopez, you there?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Again, here we are. Bruno Lopez, MXL Engineering, 1649 St. Clair Avenue West, to represent the owner.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Let's say here. Well, in a very concise way, do you want to tell us about your application? You're asking for an increase in wall height size, and the floor space index is jumping up maybe 50% or so.
Yes, absolutely. Through Mr. Chair. Yeah, this to me seems again another very straightforward application. There was an existing committee in the past with different bylaws. Nowadays, here we are for a third floor addition, and the reasoning or the rationale is that the family is increasing. The owners, they will accommodate in-laws, and they want to create their own, let's call it private space. So what we did, if you can see, even if we go to the site plan, you'll see that we are increasing less than half, in between 1/3 and a half of the existing floor plan. And the reason that it's look bigger, it's because we are including there the stairs going up to the third floor. So in essence, we are adding about 1/3 of the existing for use for a bedroom, and we are taking advantage of using the balcony. We are aware of the letters from the neighbors. Two of them are from another street, so I don't think they will be as affected as the next door neighbor. So the two properties adjacent, one to the south, they are perfectly fine. The one to the north, I believe they talk to each other, and I believe the letter sent by Miss Jennifer reflects a bit of maybe she was a little bit by surprise of what she's seen on the drawings. I believe she was concerned about the balcony. So this is not a party place. This is going to be just a little place for the couple to relax. And they say that this could be a triplex. No way this is going to be a triplex, because you can see that there is a unit in the basement, which helps with some income for the owners of the property. And again, they just want to take advantage about, at this point in time, doing a little bit of adding up. I did my research. There are 3 or 4 examples along the street. So we got 80 Blackthorn, 87 Silverthorn, 101 Silverthorn, 31 Rockwell. These properties, they already have a third floor. So if committee is aware, the current height is 11 meters. So when we have 11 meters, it means that we're going to have a lot of third floor additions. And to be honest, this 0.6 on FSI is already completely outdated. So every time that we add something, we are here at committee, and going from 0.6 to 0.80 something, I think it's a very substantial change. Yes, it is, but it's very doable, and I think it's very acceptable. So this house is on a particular lot. It's a pie shape that it's almost non-existing on this neighborhood, and this house is tucked into the back. So one of the reasoning and rationale for having this deck as well is because there is almost no room around the house to actually have a proper place where they can have a lounge.
Okay. Yes, question? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as you noted, this is an extremely unusual lot. And I guess a lot of the concerns come from the fact that, in a sense, this building is right beside the backyards of the neighbors. And I noticed that you have privacy screening on the south side, but not the north side. I was just wondering why that is.
The reasoning through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Member Dillon, good question. So the reason why we have it to the south was actually because we were aware that this neighbor, the north neighbor, was a bit concerned with the oversight, even though that they have 2 mature trees on their yard. So my client actually is going to be looking at trees to the north side. To the south side, the neighbor has no issues, and that's why we just left it with the regular railing. So that was the intent, came out of conversation with the neighbors.
So sorry. On the south side, you do have privacy screening, right? Is that I'm reading.
If we look at drawings, would be actually to the north side.
Oh, it's the north side. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm looking at it from the other way around. Okay, so you have this privacy screening on the north side, and the south side, the neighbors are okay with that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't understand the orientation of the image. So the built-up third floor is at the front of the house, and the deck is at the back, facing the laneway.
No, actually, it's the opposite side. So sorry, you were actually correct. So the place where we put the privacy fence is along the neighbor. Actually, they don't have problem, but however, it's very close to property line. So on the other side, the neighbor that seems to have a bit more of a concern, it's far away, so the property line is probably about 10, 12 feet away, and they have mature trees on their backyard. So literally, they're gonna be my clients, they're gonna be look at trees, and the next door neighbor cannot see them. So if you do a bird eye view, you'll notice that.
I see. Okay, so if the northern neighbor is concerned about privacy, would you be willing to put privacy screens on that side as well?
We would be willing to certainly doing the railings. We would like to maintain the glass railings, but we can do them opaque.
Yeah, but that still wouldn't be very high, would it?
It's at 1.2 meters, about 1.2 meters.
Yeah.
I believe we are talking about maybe 0.2 or so, because usually privacy screening goes up to 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we were going to put privacy screening on that side, we would want 1.5 meters. I mean, it could certainly be opaque glass, but it would have to be a bit higher.
If Member Dillon, if you would agree, I would say probably to the west side then, which is literally facing the house. The north side actually will face their backyard too. I would see otherwise, sorry for my poor of lacking of better expression, but it's going to look almost like a little prison up there, right? If we put everything higher than what the people can see, then the deck will lose a lot of their uses and actually to have a view.
Okay, thank you.
I had the same concerns as my colleague. I mean, there's a direct view into the next several backyards, and usually we ask for. I understand the desire to keep that a clear view, because that's a nice view. But have you considered other options, like maybe planters along that edge to at least break up the visual view and keep people back, say, a meter from that edge or something like that?
Absolutely. To be honest, I haven't discussed that with the owners, because again, that was not one of the possible constraints that we would possibly be dealing with. But if it's brought up, we can certainly, yes, do some kind of plants or some kind of mitigation, and not being as aggressive at putting it to 1.5 or so all the way around, but having some kind of a green, which will bring a little bit of life to the terrace as well.
Could you give a general kind of estimate about what the dimensions of those planters could be along the north edge?
I would see, actually, if Member Dillon, if staff can pull up drawing A020304. So A020304, you'll see that we have already planters there, so we can just try to extend them up to the committee's satisfaction.
Yeah, they're on the south side now.
Yeah, staff got it. Yep, you already went away.
Okay.
020304, there you go.
Okay, thanks.
I think this is interesting, because you're trying to make a lot with a very small building. But I think you've got your plan backwards. I think that you should be putting your livable space on the front of the building looking backwards, not putting your livable space looking into the back window of your two neighbors' houses. If you stand on those balconies, you will look literally directly into their windows. Whereas if you had your livable space on the front of the house looking backwards, you would have no issue with sightlines.
You're absolutely correct. And the problem that we face, and we had a multiple iteration design on this particular project, was the location of the existing stairs. If you do that and reverse the entire thing, it will be a lot challenging on the already completely finished second floor. We thought about that. You're absolutely correct. And the main idea for designers will be to having the let's say the decks facing the rear of the properties where we have gardens, but on this particular one we were not able to. We were very constrained, and this was the best solution that we could come with. But again, I'm very willing to to accept if committee decides to put that condition of actually have planters, if not all the way around, almost all the way around, or in a sense mitigate the sense of being overlooking the neighbors.
Thank you.
Members, then, if we're just taking us into ourselves, then, there's a desire, then, I take it the concern is along it is a very narrow triangular lot. It's along the north limit that one would like to see tall planters?
Honestly, like, I don't feel like planters are gonna do it because, you know, they could just not put anything in them, or, you know, maybe they die in the winter. Which is when there's going to be more, you know, or, you know, late fall, early spring, when there's going to be more overlook. I really feel like if they put privacy screens on the south side, I don't really see why you can't do them on the north side. You're still going to get plenty of sun and, you know, sky view and everything. 1.5 meters isn't that high. You know, I totally understand that it's a small space and, you know, it's a strange space, but I feel like that's a reasonable thing. And if you're putting them on the south side, I don't really see why you can't put them on the north side. So I would, if we approve this, I would want to say privacy screen requirement on the north side, at least for the first section. Yeah.
Yes.
So this isn't like a little deck. This is a bedroom, an outdoor bar, kitchen, seating area, dining table, bathroom. This isn't going to be an active space. This is not going to be something that's occasionally used. And I think also the fact that it's 50% over the allowable FSI for the site. The existing building is a very nicely, cleverly placed, unique little gem, kind of in this weird triangular space. I think they need to rethink this. I don't support this at all. I think that they're taking too many liberties with the neighbors' lines of sight and privacy, and I think there's they have some other options available. This isn't just a place that's occasionally used like a patio or something. This is a fully functioning bedroom, living, dining, everything space up there. I think that needs to be considered.
I'll just jump in. I actually agree, Paul, with your previous point that a flipped solution would be much better. But given the absence of that, I would support Dylan's position that screening on the north side would be enough to support it.
Nellie, you want to make a comment? Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion.
Enough comments.
What do you think?
To me, it looks, again, like I agree with Paul, it's kind of flipped position, and, you know, instead of enjoying the backyard and where there is more privacy, there is more open space, you know, looking at the neighbors. At the same time, like, you know, it's the owner's decision, after all. If they are within the rights, it's, you know, it's okay, right? But I agree that's, you know, that's an open space, and it looks like it's intended to be used. So I would say, you know, south and north and south, you know, privacy screens, I think, should be in condition, but in this case, I would probably support it.
And I think the thing is, if that's unacceptable to the applicants, then they can revisit their proposal, you know.
Dylan, then I think you should put forward a motion.
Okay, I'll put forward a motion to approve these variances with the condition that there be privacy screening along the north and south sides of the open deck.
Seconder, yes, all right. Peter Reid seconds, all right. All in favor of that? All right, we have 3 and 1 dissent? Okay. So we'll go again, dissents. All right, there's a split decision there, but it is approved, subject to that condition relating to opaque fencing or barrier. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get on to see what we got left here. So 29, we've dealt with the deferral there. Madam Secretary, we're item 30 and 31, are those the two applicants? Yes, all right. All right, we're moving to item 30, and it's on Kingston Road, 193 Kingston Road. Let me just read out the purpose on this one. Kingston Road. Alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by partially enclosing the front porch for habitable space. The committee has a plan survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. It has 5 photographs of trees on the subject property. We have a covering letter from Branko Milodov, sorry about that, agent. Commenting agent, we have a staff report from community planning. All right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have the agent online, no registered speakers for this item. 1 variance, not sure if the members need a presentation.
Right.
Questions?
Front yard setback, alter. No.
We'll unmute the agent at this time.
Sure. Hello, good afternoon. 193 Kingston Road.
Hello, Bronco.
Branko, you've been unmuted.
Yes, but I didn't hear last 2 minutes. I didn't hear what you were talking about. Good afternoon. My name is Branko Mladenov, architect. My address is 3141 Road.
All right, thank you. And you're just asking for one, the variance here, you're enclosing a front porch for habitable space. Okay, fence setback. And you're asking for this, there's 1 variance on setback. Have you got a sketch or anything to put up on the screen? Do you have any? That's the site plan, all right, residence, okay. Very good. Okay, just in that, okay, I see. No, I don't think there's any issue, okay. So we're just asking you to stand by, we're going to go into committee just for a brief discussion. Is that, see it as a problem, any issue there? All right.
Not from my perspective.
There's a planning condition, right?
Which is, sorry, I missed it. Yeah, I'm just trying to check my notes here as to what they said. Sorry. Okay, do you want to put forward a motion? And I hadn't seen that planning report. It's just conditions should be imposed to ensure the front yard setback variance only applies, to this partial porch enclosure.
Yeah, Chair, I'm happy to bring a motion.
Please.
This is just enclosing a porch, and I think that the planning condition is just to ensure that it's only to the porch and nowhere else on the house. So I think that's fair. This is a minor application. I move approval subject to the planning condition.
Is there a seconder for that? Yes. Nellie seconds that. All right, all in favor with that too? All right. That is passed, so approved with that condition from urban planning. Not from community planning, excuse me. Okay, on to 31, 202 St. Clair. All right, item 31, last on our agenda for today, and let's read out its purpose. Let's come to that. So this is to permit 4 obstructed residential parking spaces within the underground parking garage located on levels A and B of the 9-story residential building approved under a site-specific bylaw 657 for 2020, which is currently under construction. Committee has the following communications, three copies of a plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, 2 photographs of the subject property, cover letter from Eileen Costello, order to comply, that's from property, letter from parking consultant, and site-specific zoning bylaw 657 2020. And commenting agency, we have email correspondence from from an assistant planner, so it's something from community planning then, and transportation engineering view. Okay, all right. Ms. Costello, so why don't you just tell us a little bit about the difficulties with obstruction parking spaces, and you're asking for, what is it, 3 more? Second. So it seems to rest very 4. Okay, 4 obstructed spaces. And is this something along the lines of during construction, sometimes pipes and posts and things are put in, and that's created an issue with some of the underground parking spaces?
It's almost as though you've read the entire application, sir. That's exactly it.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, you have before you our package, which includes a sensitivity analysis we asked BA Group to undertake. The result of the construction was that as a result of a shift of structural panels as well as some piping, 4 of the 113 parking spaces are now deficient in that they're obstructed either by a column or by a pipe in front of a column. As a consequence of that, sir, we've come forward with a minor variance application to allow for those obstructions. BA has undertaken a review that shows that notwithstanding that they're obstructed, the majority of the vehicles that'll be using this parking garage up to the 85th percentile will be able to get in and out without any difficulty, and there's parking diagrams that are attached in the BA report. You will have noted through your review of the file, Mr. Chairman, and through you to your committee members, that both planning staff and transportation planning staff have reviewed this and have indicated they have no concerns. It is quite simply a matter of the structural engineers taking some liberties during the construction of the project. I would point out that the order to comply, which we did include just for completeness, it actually doesn't have anything to do with these parking spaces. It was a different issue that arose during the construction, and that's been rectified. But we did include it just because we knew it would pop up, and we wanted to just be completely transparent with the committee.
And nothing to do with the parking spaces?
It did not, sir, no.
Are these parking spaces going to be assigned to a specific unit?
They will be assigned. These are not, the visitor parking spaces are not affected at all, so whoever's purchasing them will be aware.
So they'll figure out the very complicated ways to get in and out.
And in fact, they're not too complicated based on the BA reviews, but it'll probably be someone with a smaller car. Right. Yes.
Got it.
I see the transportation engineering email. We have no objections to the proposed minor variances.
That's correct, sir.
So sounds good to me. Members, you'd like to put forward a motion on this matter? Yes, please. All right.
Put forward a motion. Given transportation is fine with this, given the very detailed sketches of how to get in and out, which perhaps they'll provide to the owners, I think this is a minor variance and absolutely supportable, and I move that we approve the variance.
Seconder for that motion. All right, Danelli. All right, all in favor? You're through.
My thanks to the committee. It's been a pleasure spending the day with you.
Well, I was just going to say.
Beginning and end of the day.
I suggest with respect to Mr. Reed, maybe he'd be invited when everything is finished, and he could kind of climb in and out of vehicles in those spaces just to see how he does. All right. Thanks for appearing in person.
We have a small car, so we've done that kind of thing before.
Thank you all. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, then we'll adjourn at 5:20 PM.
That's music to our ears, I think. That's
Thank you,
very good.
members.
Yeah, thank you.